I have started recording here. So let's say this is the question. Create a class student having attributes name, father name, roll number, section, college, and address. Write a menu-driven program to enter and display the details of the students. Okay, very simple. First of all, understand this. So they are asking to create a class, and what will be the name of the class? Student. And then attributes, remember we said attributes of the class and behavior of the class. So attributes means these are the, okay, these are the thing that the class possesses, and behavior means, okay, these are the activities that the class can do. Now the attributes are name, father name, roll number, section, college, and address. And after that they are asking the value from input and display these values. So what are the value you are going to take from input? Name, father name, roll number, section, college, and address. You are going to take these values from input and then you are going to display these values. That's it. Very simple example. You got it, the problem? Okay. This is the problem statement. Now let's bring a solution for this. Okay. So see how simplified it is, right? I'm going to make a example in front of you. Feel free to ask me any question if you do not understand anything. Okay. Now, so while doing this, I'm going to use the concept of constructor. I'm Mhm, mhm. Mhm. Hey, this is the syntax. Yeah, this is the library method. This comes with Java. Okay. All right. So let's come here. Okay. So here, actually, let me create an example project from scratch. Okay. I'm going to create a project, new project, and then this is a Java project. I'm going to say next, and I'm going to name this Java project as the actually uh, student student project. Let's say PRJ student. You can give any name, PRJ student, and then I'm going to say. So here, can you see PRJ student? And then inside that, you all know that you will have to create a package, right? I'm going to say new, and then package. I'm going to name it as PRJ student package. You can give any name, it doesn't matter. Okay, that's a finish. And inside the package, I'm going to create a class. I'm going to create a class, new class. I'm going to create that student class. Class name always you give it with a uppercase letter. CLS student. CLS student. Right? CLS student. You got it? So let's say that no, we will have another class to uh, create an object and do other stuff. I'm going to create first. I'm going to create this class. Okay, I have created this class. Now let me tell you this. So in class, now you have attributes. What are the attributes? You go there in the slide. These are the attributes. Name, right? Can you see? All these are attributes there. So you copy all of them, and here you say public, public. Our attributes will be public, public. Now these are strings, right? So public string, and what are the attributes? These are the attributes. Public string. Let's say when you name it, std name, and then father name, roll number, std section. You can give any name, but I'm trying to give similar name, whatever they are asking, and then std college.
Convenient, like student college or student
Yeah,
name.
exactly. Yeah. Okay. Now these are the attribute. These are the attributes that the class will have. Now, so I have a constructor here. What is the name of my? So remember, when you define a constructor will have the same name as the class name. So what you do here? You say, is it public? Yeah, constructor will be public or default. Okay, and then you give the class name. It will not have any return type, and then you give it is a method, and then you put your. So in the constructor, what we will do in the constructor, we will just put like this. These are the, we will initialize this variable. Initialize means we will put some, so string variable, right? So string variable, normally we put null in the string variable to initialize it. If it is an integer or double, we put 0, but if it is a string variable, we initialize it with null. So constructor, what it does, it puts, like it will put the initial, like it will initialize the variable with default value. If you have a, okay, if you have a default value like 5 6, you can put 5 6. You got it? So I'm going to put this initialize this variable.
Use any name here.
No, not yet. So here, if you want, okay, by default, right? If you want, instead of null, if you want, okay, if they do not input anything, you want a sample name. Let's say you want David. Let me put a David, a sample data here, David, and then
John.
father name John, and let's say roll number. Roll number probably will be a integer. Let's say to different data, I'm going to say roll number as public int roll number.
Probably the in okay.
Yeah, we'll do. We'll see what type of value it is now. Roll number, let's say 100 by default, right? Then what is the next one? std section. Std section equal to, let's say, what section you can say b. Yeah, section by default you can say x. Okay, but sometimes this section means, okay, is science, arts, or commerce, right? That type of thing. Let's say section science, and then you come to std college, right? std college is, what is the college name you want to give? Let's say AK college. And address, right? Here address will be std address. std address. Let's say Shandy. Okay, so let's say these are the default value that we put in the CLS system. Now we have the constructor, we have declared the attributes. Now next step, we have to take values from input. Menu driven means it will be prompting you to input value, and you will be inputting value, and the next task after taking the value, next task will be to display these values. So you come here, right? You come here. Now let's say we are going to have a method public void, okay, and then take values from input. So one method, it will be taking values from input. Now how do you take values from input? You will have to have a scanner object. Scanner scobj equal to new scanner system dot in system.in. Okay, now when you use a scanner, this is a library method, you will have to import corresponding libraries. Import scan. Okay, now so then since you have the scanner object now, okay, you have the scanner object now, you can take values from keyboard. Okay, so first one is std name. Okay, so std, okay, first you put a std name equal to std name equal to what? scobj dot next. Can you see next string next line? You say next line. That means it will take one line of characters for the std name. Okay, and then you say what is the next one? Father name, right? You put here. ওইটা হচ্ছে if you want to take double like numeric data with decimal point. You can say next line. Next line, what it will do, it will be taking values until you press enter. There is another thing, next string, but next line is the better one. You will see when I'm taking values. Okay, now you come next one, right? Next one is roll long, right? So for roll long, when you say roll long, you come here. Here it will be okay, scobj dot next. What is the roll long is integer, right? You say next int. You got it? It comes with with scanner object. It will give you option what depending on what value you want to take from input. Does it make sense? Okay, so then you come here, next one is std section, right? You name it std section and this, and then next section is std college, and then you come next one std address, right? Okay, so you have taken all the values from input. Okay, so now so since your values, you have already taken the values from input, the next thing is you display these values to the output. Public void display student information. Okay, and here you put system dot out dot println. Okay, so here you put, okay, what is the student's name, right? Student's name, and then you put here plus std name, and then you put here father name, and then here father name, and then here the next one is roll number. Then you come here, std section. Then you come here, address. So then what you do, you create a main class. Okay, so under your package you create new class, and then let's say my main class, or any name, my main class, and you include a public static void main, because that is where your execution will be started. If you have a main method, your execution will not be started. So here what you do, you create a object of student class, right? So how do you do that? CLS student, and the object is, let's say, std obj equal to new CLS student, right? And then okay, your student object is there. Now what you do, std obj dot, if you are, now you have to take values from the input, you have to call that, right? So to take input from the keyboard, remember, you have to call that method to take values from the input. Is that correct? So call this method, take values from input, and the next one, std obj dot display students information. Okay, now if you run your code, right? Okay, now you will see that it will be waiting here. Can you see it is now blindly waiting? You do not know what to do because you didn't put any action like what you want to do. So, but it is confusing. So I will stop this execution because it is not asking me to do something. In a good program, you will be like, here you are taking values from input, right? So what you will do, you will put something here when you are taking values, right, from input. You put something here like this, input students name, and then you go to the next line, you put another output message, input students father name, and then go to the next line, output message, put input students roll number, right? And then next thing, input students section, right? And then here you put another students college name. না, এটা আমি তোমার এখন করতেছি, তুমি তো দেখছো যে এর আগের বার যখন এক্সিকিউট করাইছি, you saw that it was waiting here. We do not know what to do. When you write a program, you will have to make sure you put enough instruction so that the users who will be using your program know what to do.
Okay.
You got it? Like this I intentionally I didn't put this message before because I want you to see like, okay, it is waiting somewhere, I do not know what to do. A general user, he doesn't know, he or she doesn't know how to use your program, so you'll have to give them enough clue so that they use your program. You got it? So here now, if you, so I'll put one more statement here. Okay. Here you put another statement, displaying. Here you put displaying students information, displaying students information. Okay, now you run your code, save and run your code. So now can you see it is waiting here, it is asking input student's name. Okay, so now you input your student's name, let's say Mike Akabi, let's say, for example. And then can you see when you press enter, when you say next line, when you press enter, it will be done taking the input. Okay, can you see, like when I'm pressing enter, input student's father name, let's say Robert Akabi. Okay, input student's roll number, let's say 500, let's say 501. And then it is asking input students section, right? Input students college name. So is it like how many sections? Yeah, it is being recorded. So input students section, let's say commerce, something like hold on. Okay, so commerce here, commerce. Here I see a problem. Can you see input students section and input students college name? Probably I have pressed enter twice, so that's why it has skipped one. So you might not see, probably input students college name, right? What is the latest prompt that I'm seeing? Input students college name, right? Let's say Gunet College, because I was not able to input the value for the student section. See what happens, right? So Gunet College. Okay, and then input students address, let's say Doraville. Okay, and then can you see what happens? If you take a look, can you see after inputting all the information, now it has printed displaying students information, student name Mike Hawakabi, father's name Robert Hakabi, roll number 501, section there is no value because I have pressed enter. So the value, it got empty. It was not able to, I was not able to input any value by press enter. So that's why it didn't take any value and it has printed the student's name and address. Right? If you make it bigger, for example, can you see? So in this part we have taken value from input, and in this part we have displayed the value in the output. You got it? Nahid bhai, the question?
আচ্ছা এখানে আমরা প্রথম যেটা ডিফল্ট কনস্ট্রাক্টরের যে ভ্যালুগুলো দিচ্ছি ওটা আমরা মেথডে কল করে নিলাম।
Now take a look what is happening. Let's say that, for example, now what is the purpose of this default, right? Let's say, for example, you didn't call this, you forgot to call these values from input, right? Or for example, you do not need to take values from input for something. If you now run it, right? Can you see what is happening? I'm right. Yeah. And when you do not take values from input, by default, what are the values? The values that you have provided in the constructor. Can you see the value you have provided in the constructor? Those values will be taking effect. So that means, like, What is the purpose of constructor? You initialize the class variable inside the constructor. Does it make sense, guys? Navid, do you understand what we did here?
Yes.
Right? If you now execute one more time with that value, so input a student's name, right? Let's say that
Take from input data. I let go
yeah. So then the value that you have defined in the constructor will take place. Okay, constructor. So what is the purpose of constructor? The purpose of constructor, the purpose of constructor is you initialize the value. You put default value. You got it? Let's say that give you an example, right? To give you an example, when you start a business, you do not start the business with zero capital. You have, let's say, $5 or $6 or $100, and then you gradually build on it, right? So same thing when you, like, these are default values, you put it, and then later on, if your programs, if by systematically, if you want to update the values, you update it. But if you do not update, those default values will be there. Got it, guys? Okay. All right. So here, um, here what will happen is, let's say that you have a bank, right? You have a bank account. In the bank, when you open a bank account with them, by default they'll give you 100 account. You got it? It is obvious that you will get $100. So what they do when they create an account, they have a variable, right? They have a variable what we are calling initial deposit, and they put $100 there. So to initialize that, they might put it in their construct.
If you want to declare different value of this variable, you can declare the account in other methods.
Yeah, the other methods you can put whatever you like. That is what we did in our take values from input. Okay, now you take a look here. Let's say that now we want to input another name. Let's say that our new student's name is Carl, okay, and his father name is what is his father name, guys? You want to give? Huh? Michael. Michael. And then roll number, let's say 200. Oh, so it is going, like, can you see input students section? It is going twice, although I pressed once, so I'll have to take a look what is happening. So I'll have to put the college name here. College name is, let's say that Charleston College. I was not able to input the section, so input address, let's say Clarkston. Okay, now it is displaying the value Carl Michael 200. It was not able to display the section, but Charleston College and Clarkston address, everything is displayed. Okay, so you got any question here, like how it is working? We have taken value from input, and then we have a method where we are taking values from input, and we have a method where we are displaying values. Any question, further question on this? Okay, now হ্যাঁ constructor যদি okay, so if you do not have constructor, then what will happen? Let's say you are not taking values from input, এটা display করবে. Let's say you do not have constructor, you are not taking values from input, and you do not have constructor. Now if you run it, let's see what happens. So can you see everything is null, right? Because now by default it will be, if you do not have a constructor, it will generate auto constructor and everything will be null. we haven't taken value from input, and also we do not have a constructor. Now if you do not take a values from input, but if you have a constructor where you have placed your value, then see what happens. It will be showing your preferred values there. So now if I ask you guys, what is the purpose of constructor, what will you say?
We initialize the variable or values by default they are using unless we declare the variables differently.
Yep, absolutely, that is correct. Okay, guys, now now can you see something? When I'm inputting the roll name and then I'm not able to input the section, instead it is going to the college name. Can you see this? Do you see this? So after inputting the integer, when I am inputting, when I am saying, when I'm pressing enter, basically it is skipping, that enter is skipping this line. So what I will do after inputting the integer, I will here I'll be putting a next line. Let's see if it make any. Next line means this is your, what is called, this is your next line character. So if I input the, if I execute it one more time, yeah, that is correct. So that's, so when you put integer values, then it is next int. Next line is for inputting string. Okay, Nabet? Okay, now if you execute this, so now probably I have this method here. Can you see this one omitted? So execute it one more time. Input student's name. Let's say that XYZ, and father's name PQR, and then roll number. Roll number, let's say 100, and then if I say enter, again it is skipping, right? Enter. So that means, let me just execute it one more time. Let me do a little bit correction here. So this is not working. So whenever I am pressing enter, then it is skipping the next student name, right? So for that, let me see what possible way. So what we are going to do, let's say, instead of taking this student's roll number here, I'll be taking the student's roll number at the end. Now let's see if it change anything. Okay, student name XYG, father's name PQR, students section science, students college name, let's say Shamli College, students address, let's say Takar, students roll number. Now it is asking for roll number, let's say 205, right? Now it is displaying things correctly. So by putting it here, we have avoid that complexity, like it was skipping. So in that way, I can put it in this way. Okay, so what is your question now?
If we try to put the integer value, we will always see I have to declare like two integer value.
What is that now? No, one integer value. I have one integer value. Can you see I have only one place here I am taking integer value, isn't it? Then you put it after this next int you put another section. Let's say that you have another
student ID. That's also disabled.
id, right? Now you create another input here.
This method also
Yep. id, and then the display. Okay, I run it one more time. So you put student's name, this section, let's say arts, let's say input college name, let's say Doraville College, put student address, let's say student's roll name, and then id, let's say, okay, and then it will be displayed. Any further question, guys, on this? So now, Naved, you understood like how you can take values from it, how you can display those values by using classes, right? So what will happen if I do not have this main method?
already it stores whatever need her.
Now, if we do not have this main method, then what will happen?
It also it show program.
No, no, no. Can you see this main method? Your execution starts from main method. If you do not have the main method, you it will not call any. If you do not call this here, right? If you comment out everything, then your program will not do anything. Can you see it is not doing anything? So you will have to call like the class that you have created, student class, you will have to create an object of this class, and then you will have to call the methods.
About this calling method in that class and that instead of calling the object. So in same class, taking class of no, so the method will class it equivalent.
You can. Okay. So with that, what I would say that if you go to different website, there are a lot of help available, right? If you say that if you search here for something, right? Let's say Java basics. Okay, you will say so many. Can you see tutorials point? And you will see that lot of thing very structured way they have explained. You can practice from there. You can copy the code and put it in your Eclipse, and you can do a lot of practice from here. Lot of help available in YouTube as well. So I'll say that for understanding the slides that I have given, these are basics, and on top of that you do a little bit analysis and see if you can understand these topics more clearly. Okay, so now, so if I ask you now, the constructor, right? Tell me about what you know about constructor. What will you say?
use the same name of the class.
Mhm.
We use the variable is a default for any of the concept.
Mhm. Constructor, and constructor will have same name as the class name. Constructor will have will not have any return.
It doesn't have a
Yeah, constructor basically we use to initialize the values,
default.
class values, default values. These are the these are the things about constructor. Okay, guys, any other question that you want to ask me?
No,
So in this case, I will take this opportunity like to finish this session a little bit earlier today, and I will give you time so that you can practice. Come up with question, any question, right? Come up with question. If you are still confused about it, you see um, if you can practice. If you cannot practice, if you still have question, come up with the question. I will bring more examples so that you can.
আমি কি আমার স্ক্রিনটা একটু শেয়ার করবো আমার তো প্রশ্ন ছিল
Please go ahead. Yeah, sure.
গত ক্লাসে যে এক্সাম্পলটা দিয়েছিলেন
Mhm.
আমার একটা প্রশ্ন ছিল। আমার স্ক্রিন দেখতে পাচ্ছেন তো না
Yep.
আচ্ছা ভাই এখানে এটা তো কনস্ট্রাক্টর আমরা এখানে ডিফল্ট ভেরিয়েবল গুলো ডিক্লেয়ার করে দিচ্ছি
Mhm.
এইখানে আমরা প্যারামিটারে আইডি প্রথমে তো আমরা এখানে অলরেডি ডিক্লেয়ার করছি
Mhm.
আইডি প্যারামিটার ডাবল এগুলো তো আমরা ডিক্লেয়ার করছি তারপরে যে এখানে আমরা ডিক্লেয়ার করলাম
আচ্ছা এখানে দেখেন নাহিদ ভাই আপনি what you are doing here is, so first of all in the constructor you have initialized some default value for your id balance and your annual interest rate, right? And then in the next method in line number 14, line number 14 you are um, can you see you have another constructor here. In this particular constructor we have parameterized constructor. Remember in the last session we have discussed default constructor and parameterized constructor. Parameterized constructor, what it will do, like you can like if you have a parameterized constructor, then you have the opportunity to, when you declare object, you can pass values. So here we are passing values. Can you see we are passing, when we are declaring object, we are passing values for parameter, balance param and annual interest, and then these values we are putting in the attributes id, balance and annual interest rate. And then can you see we have another method where we are getting monthly interest from can you see like get monthly interest, right? So you have another method where you are passing like annual interest, and then you are putting that annual interest in your annual interest variable. And from the method.
So that means in the like in the constructor for the same variable we can declare couple times different value for the same variable.
You are not declaring, you are storing different values in different instance.
Over here is default.
Default,
but
yeah.
over here is varying. Is variable like
Yeah.
variable.
When you declare object, then you are passing values.
In the constructor, I'm declaring the variables to passing the values.
Yeah, passing the values. Yeah. Okay, if you go to your account test, right? Your account test, can you see that when you are declaring line number 8, when you are creating this object, you are passing the values. And these three values, if you go to your account, these three values will be stored in this three variable, and then here you are putting these three values in your class variables.
আমার এই constructor এটার মধ্যে মানে ডিফারেন্সটাই ওটা মানে এটা ডিফল্ট এটা হচ্ছে
parameterized, yeah.
So আমরা different value
Right. So the purpose was to explain default constructor and parameterized constructor. So when you declare an object, if you go to account test, class, can you see we have declared a class here in line number 6. We have declared object. And when you declare the object, have you put any value in the, so that means if you do not have a value, then your default constructor will take place. When you have in line number 8, when you have provided values, then your parameterized constructor will be taking place.
from here.
Yeah.
Parameterized. Oh. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any further question, Nahid bhai here?
এটা আমার কনফিডেন্স ছিল
জি
যে আমরা কনস্ট্রাক্টর
So এখানে your key understanding point is default constructor, very simple. Do not complicate it too much. You do not have to be very, you understand the concept. Okay, default constructor, if you do not pass a value when you declare an object, the values that you have in the default constructor, those will be your values. Parameterized constructor, if you pass values when you declare an object, then parameterized constructor will be taking place. That's it. You do not need to understand any more on this. And then basically, like, there will be few interview questions. Basically, what is default constructor, what is parameterized constructor? If you understand this concept, that's all. We will not be using that concept a lot in our coding. Okay, Nabed? Yeah. All right, guys. So in this case, if you do not have any other question, I will give you time. You practice a little bit more. Basically, you write some code from the internet and try to understand it. And if you cannot understand it, let's talk about it in the next class. Okay. So in this case, thank you all for joining. We'll talk again on Sunday at 10. Thank you. Bye. Navid, go ahead. Let me stop recording 1 second. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let me switch off.